We can start now. It's 25 to 6, and anyone who will come if they will come. But anyway, welcome to my presentation about God in the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. A star shines upon the hour of our meeting. Elen sila lumenomen tiello. That was the Elvish language of J.R.R. Tolkien, which I am also very much aware of. And let me introduce myself and the subject of this evening's presentation. As I said, it is God in the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. And God in the works of J.R.R. Tolkien is called in the Elvish language Eru Iluvata. It's likely you can see it well here, but next page, I think. In any case, no, it wasn't here either. Previous. Eru Iluvata, the one Father of all, that is the name of God in Tolkien's works. And we will come back to that later, because it is very relevant to the subject, this name of God. In any case, my name is Petri Tikka, and I'm a Master of Theology from Helsinki, Finland. And I'm visiting Victoria for a few weeks, and I and my brother Pauli, who is over here, is with me on this trip. And we were in Chicago for a week, a couple of days in Seattle, and 3 weeks here in Victoria. And I'm mainly here to just see the Thesis and visit friends, and also to hold some speeches and sermons in different churches and situations. But I wrote my master's thesis on this very same subject, God in the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. I wrote it in Finnish, and here is the version that I made. Eru Iluvata Jumala hiera Tolkien legendarium. Eru Iluvata God in the legendarium of J.R.R. Tolkien. As you can see here, this is not God, this is J.R.R. Tolkien. And he's lighting a pipe. But unfortunately, Tolkien didn't inhale when he smoked, so he was very healthy, nevertheless. But in any case, I got a very high grade for this, which I am very fortunate about. And my examiners for this thesis were always very positive about it, because it is not very usual that one makes a master's thesis about a fantasy writer. But I am a Lutheran, and the studies that I have taken in the theological faculty of the University of Helsinki are mainly, I intend to go for the ministry. I intend to be a pastor when I get a call from a congregation. But the subject of my thesis, this very J.R.R. Tolkien, was also a Christian, like I am, but he wasn't a Lutheran. He was a Roman Catholic writer. And J.R.R. Tolkien was born in 1892 and passed away in 1973. He was an English linguist, a professor in Oxford. And he is very famous for his fantasy books, especially The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbits, and The Silmarillion. And he's been hailed as the author of the 20th century, but also he has been heavily criticized by the literary establishment. And it is mainly there have been several polls about who is the author of the 20th century, who is the best one, and the public has very consistently considered J.R.R. Tolkien to be the best one, and Lord of the Rings the best one. And in this 21st century, he's become even more popular because of the Lord of the Rings films based on his works. And there are lots of fans of J.R.R. Tolkien, and of all different kinds. Some like to dress up as elves and even orcs. And I don't like if people dress up as orcs, because Tolkien would not have liked that at all. But in any case, there are many literary societies who are all over the world devoted to the appreciation and study of his scholarly works. And though not really, he was a scholar, of course, but mostly he is well known and loved for his fantasy books. But many are aware that there are, even though there's fandom of all kinds, many are aware that there are many deep mythological, ethical, psychological, and philosophical aspects to Tolkien's works. But not many people actually know, which is quite surprising, that Tolkien was a very devout Roman Catholic and a Christian. And he also said that they are an inherent part of his works. But the reason why many people don't necessarily know this, because Tolkien, of course, didn't intend his works to be an allegory of the Christian religion. They are stories made to entertain and move people. But Tolkien, as a Christian, couldn't avoid the fact that he is a Christian. So they are embedded. The stories include many religious elements. And these religious elements are the subject of my lecture, and especially the fact that there is a god in Tolkien's Middle-earth. And he is this Elvish, the one father of all. And as his name says, he's the one. He's a monotheistic god, like the god in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So there's only one god in Tolkien's stories, like in monotheism in general. But while this presentation is about the religious aspects of Tolkien's works, one should note why I, as a Finn, a person from Finland, am very much interested in Tolkien's works. And partly the reason for that is the fact that Tolkien created two Elvish languages, because Tolkien was a linguist, and unlike many people start to make up languages when they are young and still very imaginative. But then they stop it. But Tolkien continued this, what he called his secret vice of creating imaginary languages. But one of these languages is the High Elvish language, and it is called Quenya. And this Quenya is partly based on the Finnish language. But Tolkien, it was also based on Latin. And I became very interested and started to scholarly study Tolkien's works, mainly because of the fact that Tolkien was so interested in Finland and the Finnish language. But a language needs a culture and a history, because in fact Tolkien created these languages first and then just his stories. So he created the stories so that languages would have a culture and a context, because otherwise one cannot create idioms or phrases in a language. One doesn't know who actually speak it. And to this end, Tolkien was inspired to write his fantasy stories. And one of the main components that inspired him to write his stories was in fact the Finnish national epic, the Kalevala. And there's a story called about a man who accidentally marries his sister and then kills himself with a talking sword. And Tolkien has such a story. In fact, it is called The Children of Húni, and it is a part of the Silmarillion. And this is one of the beginnings of all of Tolkien's mythology. And the person who created this Kalevala was called Elias Lönnrot, and he composed this epic based on the songs of ordinary people that told about the beginning of the world, the mythological battle between the evil north and the heroes of Kalevala. But Tolkien was very much inspired by this, creating a mythology for one's own country, like Elias Lönnrot had done for Finland. And Tolkien felt that there wasn't a comprehensive mythology for England, even though there was, of course, the epic Beowulf, which Tolkien was very much aware of and studied. But there wasn't a single big comprehensive epic that really inspired the whole of the nation. And that's one of the reasons he started to create his stories, and he called his stories legendarium, which is an old medieval word describing a collection of legends. Because they are not, in fact, these stories of Tolkien are set in our own planet, on this earth, but in a mythological prehistory and a fictional age. But it is nevertheless, that is why it is a legendarium and not strictly a mythology or a fantasy work, even though one can call it a fantasy work. It is based on Tolkien's scholarly study of myths, and he combined the best elements of Germanic and also Finnish mythology and took the elements that were inspired him, and on that basis created his world. And I myself have studied this very much. The thing I have studied most about Tolkien is his languages, and mainly Quenya, as I said, which is based on Finnish. And I have wrote